Hello everyone, I'm JoltKing627, and today we're taking a look at the Big Power Electric Model 505. Let's get right into it. Before we start this video, I'd like to say, full disclosure, Big Power Electric did send me this blaster free of charge for purposes of review, and I'd like to thank them for that. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at what you get in the box. Inside, we find the blaster, the drum, a scope, 2 side panels to help protect the drum, 3 targets, a boatload of dart, 6 AA batteries, safety glasses, a pamphlet showing all of their releases, and the instructions. First, let's take a quick look at the accessories and then we'll get into the blaster. You get 3 of these little flip-up targets. I would assume the goal would be to knock down the target with your darts. They're a little small, but they're actually still pretty cool. They actually even have little tabs so that you can lock them together. They also give you some eye protection. They're tinted red and have a fair amount of distortion, but they're still nice to include. They also include 100 of these darts, which is a lot. The foam is good quality, but the head is unfortunately solid rubber. There's no compression or squish to this whatsoever, so it's effectively an FVJ. I'd recommend not using these. These put strain on the motors and can damage things if you're not too careful with them. And I wouldn't want to shoot these at someone else, because these actually really hurt. Luckily, we all seem to have Adventure Force waffles and other such good darts already. And now, of course, the blaster itself. The blaster is a semi-automatic flywheeler with a 30-round drum. It clearly took heavy inspiration from the Nerf Ultra 1, and honestly, that's a good thing. This thing's kinda cool. Both the main grip and the foregrip are fairly comfortable. The batteries go in the stock here, and it takes 6 AA batteries. Up top, we have a single Nerf-style rail with an included scope attachment. Rail is fully compatible with all of your Nerf attachments, and the scope is compatible with all of your regular N-Strike rails. It's actually pretty sturdily attached too. There's a lot less wiggle in this connection than there is on a normal, modulus attachment. On this side here, we can see it has a flip-up jam door, so you can clear out any jams. I personally haven't had any jams, so I haven't needed to use this, but it's good that it's there. Also on this side, we can see this little button. This is actually for the drum release. The drum is removable. You press this in, and you can pull the foregrip out, and then you can take out your drum. This system isn't going to be fast enough for any quick reloads in battle, but it's actually really great for storage. Storing these cylinder-fed blasters is kind of annoying because of just how wide they can be. As far as performance goes, with waffles, chilies, and AccuFakes, I'm getting about 70 FPS. Overall, I'm mostly impressed with the main blaster. The plastic quality is unexpectedly high. There's almost no creak to this, and it only really flexes if you absolutely try by bending it at its extremes. The trigger pull is decently smooth, smoother than that of the Ultra 1, and way smoother than the Dart Zone Tomahawk. Overall, the only major issue I had with this blaster is that when I first got it, it was shooting at a 45-degree angle right to the side. Luckily, this was very easy to fix. No one else I have seen with this blaster has had this issue, so I'm going to assume my unit was some form of lemon. When we get to the internals in a minute here, I'll show how I fixed it just in case anyone else happens to have this issue, as it was fairly easy to correct. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at those internals. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the internals of the blaster. I have already taken out all of the screws, and the first thing you're going to notice is that there are a lot of screws. 81 of them, in fact. That's quite a bit for the size of this blaster. And a nice thing to note is that they are all of the exact same size, so they can't get mixed up. Now, we can take off this foregrip, which is a separate piece. It has its own spring for its own locking mechanism. You can set that off to the side and deal with the rest of the main shell. The blaster just clamshells apart. The one area where it likes to stick is this rotation mechanism right here. And be careful while you're opening it up not to pull it off too rapidly, because the battery tray is in fact on this side of the shell, so you're going to have to keep the shell bent over like so. Now, taking a look at the internals, you can see most of this is pretty high quality, with one notable exception, that being the faux barrel. As you can see, this is actually cracked. That's because it is very thin and it was attempted to put around a piece that is actually too wide for it. Also of note, there are a couple small bumps on the inside of the faux barreling. I don't know if you can see that, but we're gonna file those down in a minute. The cracks don't really affect performance, but it's still not a very good look. Other than that faux barreling material, however, all of this is pretty good quality. The flywheel cage here has foam pads on this side and on the motor side that helps deaden some of the noise. It's part of why this blaster is so quiet. If we undo these 4 screws, we can take out the flywheel cage and split it in half, and we can see that it has some fairly strangely shaped wheels. I haven't seen anything like these before. They're concave in the center, ribbed on the edges, and have holes in the top. Very strange. My guess as to why they are concave is because of the hard-tipped darts that it comes with. That concavity allows it to not crush the heads as much so that it doesn't break. The motors do appear to be 130 size, so if you wanted, you could probably fit some hobby motors in here and rewire this for LiPo. Moving back, we can see the pusher and rotation mechanisms. The pusher is just a regular barricade or strife style lever, and this obviously is the rotation mechanism, this being the piece that slots into it, which surprisingly actually has a metal tooth. Normally when I see these on Nerf blasters, they are plastic. Having it be metal is a nice touch and probably good for durability. Down here at the rev trigger, we see we have a plate over our switch. If we remove this single screw, we can take that out. And when we do, it reveals that unlike a lot of the Nerf rev triggers, the lock for the trigger is actually separate from pushing the switch. So if you wanted to, you could just remove it and it will work just fine. Personally, I'll be leaving this in because I don't want to accidentally pull the trigger without revving. Now, one thing that may have caught your eye are these washers right here, and that is my fix for the accuracy issues that I have with this blaster. Essentially what appeared to be going on is that the other side of the shell here wasn't actually bracing the pusher arm correctly, so it would have a little bit of side-to-side wiggle room. How I corrected this is obviously these washers here, because when the pusher is fully extended, this means those washers push down on the arm here, which forces this to be all the way down and straight, so that it actually pushes properly. This was thankfully a pretty easy fix. I don't think anyone else has had the issues that I was having, but if you do and need to fix it, the height of the washers that I put in here stacks up to about 2 millimeters. Before we reassemble this, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the couple large bumps inside this barrel just with a hand file. There we go, that's a whole lot better. Alright, now we can reassemble our blaster. There are only a couple things to watch out for when doing this. The first one is obviously the wires. They like to get in the way a little. Make sure that you're not pinching them when you put the shell back together. The other thing to watch out for is this rotation mechanism right here. This part of it tends to get a little bit stuck. Make sure that this piece is lined up with the slot on this side of the shell. And that should just about cover the internals. Now, let's go seed fire. Alright, first up we have their own darts loaded in here. We've got the targets that are included set up here on a stool, and of course I'm wearing the included eye protection for the memes. And now, with targets reset, we have 10 each of chilies, AccuFakes, and waffles. Alright, final thoughts. What do I think of this blaster? Overall, I'm actually pretty happy with this blaster. I only have 3 main complaints, those being it coming with hard-tipped darts, the faux barrel material being cheap and obviously cracked, and the third being the accuracy issues. On the accuracy issue, I'm going to give Big Power Electric the benefit of the doubt since I've seen other people get this blaster and they have not had the accuracy issues that I had. So I'm going to assume that my unit is some form of lemon. Once I implemented my very, very easy fix on this, the accuracy turned out just fine. It's about on par with any other stock Hasbro flywheeler. Honestly, the blaster has a lot going for it. It has decent plastic quality, the performance is okay at 70 FPS, that's elite standard, perfectly acceptable. It has decent mod potential, and it's a lot of fun to use. It does come packaged with a lot of stuff, albeit you'll most likely want to swap out for your own name brand batteries, and you'll want to use Adventure Force waffles or similar instead of the included darts. As it stands at the time of this recording, the price is a little steep at about $60 United States on Amazon. But if you really, really like cylinder-fed blasters or it goes on sale, it's honestly worth looking into. I really enjoy the blaster. It's got a lot of potential and it's pretty fun to use. I'll have a purchase link to where you can purchase this on Amazon in the description box below. Big Power Electric as a brand is new to the Nerf scene, and this is one of their first blasters, which makes me excited to see what they do in the future. Anyway, that just about covers it. Huge thank you to Big Power Electric for sending this sample over to me for review. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the merch, and thank you all for watching.